Did plaintiff come to you for evaluation or treatment in 2018?
No.
The first time you saw plaintiff was not until 4 years later in November 2022.
Your voice is very soft on the very beginning. Sorry.
No problem. The first time that you saw the plaintiff was not until 4 years later in November 2022. Is that correct?
Correct.
And the photo that we looked at, Trial Exhibit 228, that was taken in your office before any treatment. Is that correct?
Yes.
It was taken the first time that you saw Ms. Ellis.
Correct.
Could you please open the white binder to Exhibit 4? And looking at the first page.
Yes.
Thank you. This is your medical evaluation document, is that correct?
That's correct.
Everything on the first page of this document was reported to you or your staff by Ms. Ellis, is that correct?
Yes.
So, for example, you're not diagnosing Ms. Ellis with headaches or depression.
Correct.
Okay, and also according to this medical evaluation document, plaintiff told you or your staff that the scar was caused by another individual who placed their long fingernails with sharp objects in her face. Is that correct?
Yes.
Did you ask Ms. Ellis about other possible causes of the scar?
No.
At the time of your evaluation, were you aware that Ms. Ellis had been in a car accident and hit her head in 2021?
I'm not sure if I knew then. I don't think I knew then.
At the time of your evaluation, did you know what Ms. Ellis was doing for a living after she was terminated from her job as a security guard?
No.
Do you recall answering my questions in your deposition in this case?
Yes.
You were under an oath to tell the truth in that deposition, is that correct?
Correct.
Do you recall testifying at your deposition that, based on your examination, the most plausible explanation for plaintiff's scar is that a right-handed person struck downward on plaintiff's left cheek with both the index finger and the middle finger?
Objection, Ms. Stacy, testimony is upon.
Yes, roughly. I still believe that to be true.
Sorry. Sorry.
In your previous answer, you testified that that was roughly what your testimony was at your deposition. But that was your exact testimony, wasn't it?
Oh, I don't know. I don't have the transcript here. I can't remember exactly what I said.
Could we please look at the deposition transcript from page 76, line 9 to page 77, line 3?
Do I have that anywhere? Do you know?
It'll appear on the.
Any questions?
Yeah, I don't have the transcript.
Yeah, I don't produce one. This one I don't have. It was we tried to get it from their core reporter, but they didn't get it to us.
I haven't seen objections in the deposition, so go ahead.
Thank you, Your Honor.
In this action, are you offering an opinion as to whether or not the scar that you diagnosed was caused by the defendant in this action?
Well, I can't say it was caused by any one person. If you ask me the most logical explanation, it looks like fingernails to me, striking in a downward direction. That's the most plausible example, or the most plausible explanation for the position of the start of the scars, or the higher position of the right scar. It would be by a right-handed person to the patient's left side of their face, which is the right side that we're observing. Starting at the top, they both start at the right level, for one being an index finger, one being a middle finger. The middle finger one is a little deeper and wider, as it would be on a middle finger. And then the index finger continues on down further than the middle finger stretch. So that would be the most plausible explanation for me, given the appearance of the scars and the finding of the scars. That's my opinion.
The only treatment that you provided to Ms. Ellis was 2 sessions of microneedling, is that correct?
Yes.
And that was in 2023?
I'd have to check about the dates, but I believe so.
Microneedling involves the use of a device that looks a little bit like an oversized pen. Is that correct?
Well, pens don't look that way. It has a head on it that reciprocates. It has a motor in it, so it's not really like a pen.
It's something that you hold, cylindrically shaped.
Yeah, you hold it in your hand, yeah.
And during each of those microneedling sessions, you moved that device 5 times across the 2-centimeter area that you're describing as Ms. Ellis' scar. Is that correct?
Well, I also did areas to the periphery of that as well. So there was as I explained to you in the deposition, there was, and showed on the photograph, there's a larger area of changes of the skin, which I would characterize as scarring. So I did those areas as well. So it wasn't just on the main scar, it was also on the area to the periphery of that scar.
It was not, the microneedling procedure was not done on the plaintiff's entire face, though, is that correct?
No.
I'm sorry, we had a couple negatives now.
Triple.
You said it. Triple negative.
Thank you, Your Honor. Let's see, I forgot how to phrase it.
Did you do it over
Yeah,
there?
thank you. Did you use the microneedling device on the plaintiff's entire face?
No.
And the actual process of moving the microneedling device across the plaintiff's the scar took you no more than 2 or 3 minutes. Is that correct?
Yeah, it's probably a little more, but roughly that.
Neo Surgery Center is your business. Is that correct?
That's correct.
You're the sole owner?
The sole owner, yes.
And looking back, this is White Binder Exhibit 1. Turn to page 1.
Which binder, blue or white?
White.
Okay. And what are we looking at? I'm sorry.
This is page 1.
I'm sorry?
Page 1, Exhibit 1-001. Do you see that?
Oh, yes, I see that.
Did you create this document?
No.
Is it correct that the total amount of charges in this case between you and your neosurgery center is $17,500?
Yes.
And I believe you testified earlier that $1,500 of that amount was for your initial evaluation. Is that correct?
That's correct.
That leaves a combined total of $16,000 for the 2 microneedling sessions. Is that correct?
Yes.
And that's $8,000 per microneedling session?
Well, it was a surgery done in a surgery center with surgery staff, so it wasn't really a microneedling session. It was a surgery.
I'll move to strike as non-responsive.
Granted. Please disregard the past response.
Your fee was $8,000. Scratch that. The combined total was $8,000 per microneedling session. Is that correct?
Do you mean just for the microneedling or for the preparation of the patient and the post-operative care of the patient? I'm not sure. I just don't understand your question.
Are you required to be a board-certified plastic surgeon to perform microneedling?
What kind of microneedling?
Do you recall testifying at your deposition that a nurse practitioner or physician's assistant can perform medical microneedling, the type of procedure that you performed in this instance?
Under certain circumstances and under the supervision of a physician, they would be allowed to perform that. But however, they would not be allowed to perform a surgery independently. So I don't want to conflate the two.
You also testified at your deposition that there's no particular formula that you used to calculate this $16,000 fee. Is that correct?
Well, it's based on my experience as a medical director for 25 years of what the usual and customary fees are for these procedures. So it's not just randomly chosen.
And it's your testimony that the fee you charge is usual and customary in this community? Is that
Yes.
You also testified earlier that the plaintiff was charged for your services on a lien basis. Is that correct?
That's correct.
And by lien basis, do you agree that means that if the plaintiff wins this case and is awarded money, you have a right to collect your fees from the award?
Objection misstates the testimony of the witness.
Overruled.
Well, I don't believe that's what happens. I believe the patient owes the money for the services rendered, regardless of the outcome of the case. So it's not just if the patient wins, it's regardless of the outcome of the case.
Has Ms. Ellis paid you for your services today?
No.
Objection has an answer.
Overruled.
If Ms. Ellis had come to your office as a patient who didn't have a pending lawsuit and had the exact same procedure done and paid for it then, would you have charged less money than you charged in this case?
Well, there were many aspects of her presentation that would not be found in a typical cash paying patient. For example, the hypersensitivity of her injury and the nature of her scarring. Those wouldn't be typically found in a cash paying patient. So how can I equate the fees between someone who has injuries versus someone who comes in for cosmetic purposes?
You can't scratch that. Are you saying that there's no possible hypothetical in which the plaintiff could have come in and presented the same injury and not have been involved in a lawsuit and just paid you cash for your services?
Do you mean pay cash or pay cash 3 years later?
Paid cash.
On the spot?
Yeah.
Yes, they would probably have a discount of approximately 20%.
So in other words, you charge 20% more because this was on a lien basis.
Yes.
No further questions? Oh, sorry. No further questions.
All right, redirect.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
All right. Dr. Moelleken, you testified about the injury being caused by a right-hand person or left-handed person.
Objection, mischaracterizes the testimony.
Sustained.
Does it, well, strike. Could this injury have been caused by a left-handed person?
Objection, lacks
I
foundation.
withdraw the question. In this case, the defendant is a left-handed person. Does that mean that she cannot have caused this injury?
Objection, lacks foundation, calls for speculation.
Sustained. Sorry.
Counsel asked you whether this injury was caused by a right-handed person. Do you remember the question he asked you?
Yes.
I think he was asking what his testimony was.
Did counsel ask you about your testimony in the deposition that you gave on March 27th of 25?
Yes.
And during that testimony, counsel asked you and showed you a small segment of your deposition where you said that this injury was caused by a right-handed person. Do you remember saying that in your deposition?
I said most likely.
The fact that the person is, well, strike that. For example, I'm left-handed. If I take my right hand and I scratch somebody, is that possible?
Objection, lacks foundation, outside the scope.
Sustained.
When you said right-handed person, did you mean that the injury, in your opinion, as an expert, was caused by the right hand?
Objection,
Overruled.
No.
What did you mean?
Well, if it's on the left side of the face, the most likely explanation is that it was done by the right hand of the perpetrator, for want of a better word.
And
Just based on the positioning of one person, assuming one person was in front of the other.
and if you look at the perpetrator there,
objection, Your Honor.
or I'm sorry, I withdraw that. If you look at the defendant, Cardi B sitting there, she has two hands, right?
Objection, Your Honor.
Take a look, doesn't she?
Objection, Your Honor. This-
Does the defendant have two hands?
You need to wait for the court to rule on the objection. The objection's overruled.
You can look. Please, Doctor.
Yes, she has two hands.
All right. Cardi B, I will represent you as left-handed. In your testimony at the deposition, if you were to take that the way that they want you to take that, it would be impossible for a Cardi B to have caused this injury. However, there's no question. The question is this: isn't it true that Cardi B, who's left-handed, could have used her right hand to scratch Emani Ellis on the date of the incident.
Objection, lacks foundation, outside the scope.
Beyond the scope, counsel.
What's that, I'm sorry?
Is that objection sustained?
When you testified that it happened by a right-handed person, did you mean that the person actually writes with their right
Counsel,
hand?
he said it was most likely caused by, that was his most likely explanation. He didn't say who caused it or how.
When you said most likely caused, did you mean it was caused by someone using their right hand, or the fact that they write with their right hand?
Objection, compound.
That's my question.
My apologies. Objection, compound, lacks foundation, outside the scope.
Overruled.
It doesn't matter. I mean, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. It's just the left side of the face was scratched.
With the right hand.
Typically, if people are facing each other, it would be the right hand. It's hard to reach across with the left hand unless the person was standing to the side, which may or may not have happened. I don't know.
And in this case, the defendant could have used both of her hands to scratch Emani Ellis if she wanted to. Isn't that true?
Objection.
Sustained. He's not a causation expert, I don't think, right?
No. This.
Okay, so stop talking about causation then.
Okay. Sorry. When counsel asked you about microneedling, the fact that it takes 3 minutes or 5 minutes or 1 minute, that is the actual time that you're working on the patient's face when you're doing that procedure, correct?
Objection. Yes,
Well, not really.
Overruled.
Yes, not really at all, because you can't just walk up to somebody and stick a needle in their face. You have to prep them. You have to make sure you're working on the right side of the face. You have to make sure your equipment is there. You have to make sure that the person is calm, that they're numb, that they've been numbed by topical agent, then that they've been numbed by a needle with lidocaine in it, and the patient is comfortable. They're adequately protected against lumps and bumps on the exam room chair. So you can't just walk up to somebody and cut their face. You have to do all this preparation. That's part of the surgery. And it's part of the surgery after the surgery to make sure they don't have an allergic reaction or they don't have, welts resulting or a burn injury that is incurred. All those are part of the surgery. It's not just walking up and cutting someone in the face. Yes, the actual pressing of the button might take 3 minutes, but without the proper preparation or the proper follow-up, it's not a surgery.
And in this case, when you saw the patient on the 2 times on February 20th, 23 and March 20th of 23, you performed surgery on this patient, correct?
Yes.
This was not a outpatient medical.
Sorry.
Was this an outpatient? Well, sorry, I withdraw that. This was an outpatient surgery, correct?
Objection, outside the scope.
Overruled.
So a surgery means that you're in an operating room with a certain level of accreditation, and you have a scrum technician, and you have a registered nurse, and you have a doctor. So those are necessary for the procedure to be performed as it is. And that's very different from doing a cosmetic microneedling where the depth is 1/2 of a millimeter, not 2 millimeters. So 1/2 of a millimeter doesn't break the skin. It doesn't draw blood. But when it's 2 millimeters, that's as deep as the microneedling goes. That goes through the dermis and causes blood. So that's very different than a cosmetic microneedling. It's totally different. And it's done in a different setting. So you can't confuse the two. They may be called microneedling, but they're very different. One is a surgery, one is an outpatient procedure done for cosmetic purposes.
And for the 2, if you can look at your exhibit book number 4 in the white binder,
Yes.
4-005 or 4-006, that's a 2-page document which says operative note.
Yes.
And if we go to the one before it, I'll strike. When you wrote the operative note, is that the same type of operative note you would write for other types of surgeries, such as breast augmentation or nose surgeries?
Objection, irrelevant, outside the scope.
And back to the 3-minute question that you were asked earlier. From the 3 minutes, if we were to subtract the 3 minutes out of the whole procedure from the start to finish, how much time elapsed when Emani Ellis came to your office and left, if you understand the question?
Estimated at 2 to 3 hours.
2 to 3 hours?
Yes.
And you were required to use your operating room during those 2 to 3 hours?
Yes, the operating room or the recovery area.
And you used local anesthesia?
Use topical anesthesia first and then local anesthesia.
Okay, and the reason you charge 20% more for patients that are treated on a lean basis, is that because of the fact that you're required to wait for payment?
Objection, leading.
Overruled.
Yes, 3 years. You have to wait 3 years.
Okay, and in this case, not only have you had to wait for 3 years, you also have to suffer the consequences of the fact that the bill was billed $4,000 less, according to your earlier testimony, times 2, correct?
Objection, leading, lies foundation.
Sustained.
Earlier you testified that your bills of $2,500 should have been billed at $6,500, is that correct?
That's correct. That's my fault, but that's mine.
And
That's my
if the procedure is going to be done again, or at this time, if the same procedure was done, it wouldn't be $6,500, it would be $9,500?
Objection, outside the scope.
Sustained.
And at this point, Ms. Emani Ellis owes you $17,500 for the 2 surgeries and the office visit that she had with you and all of the paperwork and reports that you've created related to this case?
I believe so, yes.
Thank you.
All right, recross?
Nothing here.
All right, any questions from the jury? You want to write those out? I think these questions are fine to ask.
Judge, I'm sorry, can I add one?
Sure.
Sorry about that.
No problem. All right, some of these overlap, and so I'll try and combine them. Did you see any evidence of a scratch on the nose?
No.
Can you tell whether the scar that you examined was caused by jewelry?
It could have been. The most likely explanation, given the trajectory, is fingernails, but it could have been jewelry.
All right, can you offer an opinion as to the approximate age on the scar on her left cheek?
It's impossible to know because after roughly a year, the scar is mature, so it really wouldn't change very much, so you can't tell the age of the scar.
You used the term medical necessity, or I think it was asked during a question. What is your definition of medical necessity?
If something is If the patient is likely to derive a benefit from a procedure, then you could say there is medical necessity, if they're likely to derive a benefit from it.
Generally, can a scar form without breaking the skin?
Yes, a scar can form by scrapes or by breaking the skin, either one. But it definitely can occur in superficial scratches.
So the court's going to ask its own follow-up with regard to that. So can you describe how a scar can, or what the difference is between an abrasion and actually breaking the skin?
So the skin has basically the epidermis, which is the recycling layer, and then the dermis, which is the thick layer. Most of the blood supply is in the subdermal plexus, just below the dermis. That's where the main blood supply is. So the bleeding typically happens most when that dermis is completely breached. So a laceration that went all the way through the epidermis to the dermis and down to the subdermal plexus, that would cause a lot of bleeding. But for example, when we harvest a skin graft, for example in a burn patient, we go through the dermis. So we take a thin piece of the dermis and it's a bloodless plane, meaning there's not a lot of bleeding when you go through the superficial dermis. But yet, we know that people who donate have a donor area for burns. That area can scar considerably, even though the dermis is never perforated. So yes, a minimal dermal injury may not bleed, but can produce scarring.
I think you identified a scratch and then some additional scratches on the cheek. Is that correct?
Yes.
And is it your opinion that all of the scratches came from fingernails?
Well, that's the most likely scenario given the patient's history. Could it have been a dwarf with sharp toes who jumped up? Possible, not likely. But it could have been most likely fingernails. But there are many other things that would leave 3 linear marks. But just given the patient's history, that's the most likely scenario.
And I'm going to just rephrase this question. Is it fair to say that when you agree to treat on a lien, you're deferring payment until the resolution of the pending litigation?
Yes. So we defer the patient paying the bill until the case is settled.
But it's fair to say that, at least according to the terms of the lien, that the patient is responsible regardless of the outcome of the litigation?
Yes, the patient is responsible for the bill.
All right, thank you. Plaintiff's counsel, do you have any follow-ups based on those questions?
Just one. One minute, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Do you have any evidence that this scar could be caused by a car accident? Any medical record? Anything at all?
Objection.
A car accident.
Outside the scope of this designation.
I agree, but I'll allow the question.
I don't have any evidence, one way or the other.
Thank you.
All right, anything from the defense?
Well, I know, please. I'm going to pick it up.
All right, can this witness be excused?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right, thank you, doctor.
Thank you.